Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Sandala. I am Programming and Outreach Specialist here at LibraryLink New Jersey. I am so thrilled to have this skill sharing conversation on crafting projects that you can do in the library. Our great moderator today is Marissa Lieberman, who has so many great ideas. I'm super excited for you all to learn from her and share your ideas as well. So Marissa, do you want to go ahead and get started?
Sure. Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be here with all of you. We have such a great turnout today for Zoom, which is so wonderful. My name is Marissa Lieberman, and I am the head of reference and adult services at the Cranford Public Library. I run our library's Adults Create program, which is one of 2 in-person adult programs. My colleague Victoria is here, who runs the other one. And I'm really excited to be here. Crafting has always been popular in libraries, particularly for youth services, but I feel like especially since the pandemic, we've really seen so much more excitement around them in all departments. Grab and go kits, for example, were one of the ways that libraries were able to continue providing programs for our patrons during the beginning of the pandemic. And a lot of libraries, ours included, are still doing them. It's a great way to have everything all contained. Crafting programs allow people to connect with one another. They can be therapeutic. They can also be empowering to learn a new skill, and also have the opportunity to be creative in a safe environment like a library. I feel like is such a powerful and wonderful thing that we can provide, and really fits within our mission as public libraries. I hope that after today's program, you will feel excited and rejuvenated and inspired with so many new ideas to bring back to your library, and after chatting with colleagues around the state. I figured we would run this similar to how we did the in-person Library Link one, where people can just share ideas. It seems like we have a really good number, so feel free if you have something that you want to share, let us know your library, as well as what age group you work with, since we have people in all different departments. Would anyone like to go first?
Well, I would. So hi, I'm Victoria. I work at the Cranford Public Library, and I run the Saturday adult craft. I usually it's adults. Sometimes I will take like teens. That usually doesn't happen though. Usually it's about 18 and up. This was my first craft. It was a wind chime. This one I used beads from like Walmart. Probably the most expensive part of the craft was the wooden jewelry holder, and I got that from Mercati because I didn't feel like assembling it myself. And I used real seashells, a mix of real and fake. I think it went over really well. A lot of people are particular to certain colors, so keep that in mind, like if you're ever going to do it. I think the blues, greens, and reds went over really well, but like if I use silver and gold, I had so much left over. And the chimes were from Amazon. So it really worked out really well. And I think a lot of people were really excited. And then I also wanted to show my latest craft, which was a puzzle piece heart wreath. This came together really cheaply. Probably the most expensive part, unfortunately, was the heart, wooden heart piece. I found that on Amazon. Originally, the craft I found wanted me to use chipboard, but I had a difficult time cutting it out, so I figured out plan B. This was really cheap as well. You can get the paint from Michael's, or if you have paint already, and you just buy the puzzle pieces at the dollar store, and it really comes together really beautifully. And that's all I wanted to share today. I'll pass it along.
That's awesome.
Victoria, could you just show the chimes again? I'd like to take a closer look.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I did have seashells on here, but they fell off. So I'm just trying to like zoom in. This is like the bottom, and I used a bead at the end to keep it balanced because it would go crooked otherwise. Just trying to zoom down slowly. And then this was already pre-drilled because I bought it on Mercati. And they came in a lot of different styles. So like you had a lot of different types.
Do you want to put the website too in the chat, Mercari, for anyone who's not familiar with it?
Sure, I'll do that right now.
That's wonderful. Does anyone have any follow-up questions, or if anyone would like to share next, please feel free to unmute yourself and put on your camera if you'd like. And we have a question in the chat. Victoria, can you talk a little bit about the turnout for the Saturday program?
Sure. So I cap at 10. Generally, it depends on the program, to be honest. Usually I would say I get the full 10, but sometimes it's about 7 people. It also depends on the weather. For my puzzle piece wreath, I had the full 10, but I only had 7. I know one of my patrons walks, so that's why she wasn't able to come. I think Saturdays kind of work better for people who can't make it during the week. But I say the turnout is generally pretty good.
Would anyone else like to share next?
Yes, I will.
Go ahead, Marge.
Okay. I do the adult craft programs at Westfield Library and also at Summit Library. And I usually do them in Westfield, I do them on a weekday afternoon, and in Summit, I do them on a Sunday afternoon. And this is one that I've done in both libraries. They call them kissing balls. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And a lot of times you'll see the instructions for them where you use a styrofoam ball and you poke the flowers in, but then a lot of times the styrofoam breaks and it's a problem. So actually what this is a wiffle ball. So it already has the holes. So it's really kind of cool. And so before you put the flowers on, you can tie a ribbon through 2 of the holes, and then the flowers, you can either get them at Dollar Tree or on Amazon and cut it down. So you just have to take, I did use glue guns. I got like the cheap glue guns. So I had like a set of 10 or 12, and they just glued them on. And so it came out really cool. So I really like that one. And then I'll just share one other one that I don't know if you could see it. It's an American flag. And I just took, this is like a branch, which you could go out and just find them outside, or you can find them in the store. And I tied a rope around it for the hanger. And then I just got there's just different fabrics, ribbons in the red and white. And then I was able to find, this is fabric. So, and they just tied it on, and it made, the flag. So that's what I have for you for today.
Those were really nice, and that flower was beautiful. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, everybody really was happy with that one.
And how many people do you get at your crafts typically?
Well, in Summit, I get filled up immediately. Sometimes they will, if they see I'm doing a craft, they will sign up before they even know what the craft is. So it's limited just to how many people I can take and how much, the cost of the supply. So it's really limited. I'm limiting it over there to maybe 12 to 15 people, but I could get way more if we could, afford it. In Westfield, the same thing. Before the pandemic was the same thing. They signed up immediately and I had a waiting list. But then when we switched to Kids to Go during COVID and I started to transition back to in-person, they're a little more hesitant to come back in person in Westfield for some reason, but they're starting to. So I'm starting to get full classes again of 10 to 12, but that's limited by me. There's always a waiting list.
And we have a question from Maria. How did you attach the star fabric?
So the star fabric, I just put a little bit of fabric glue. I wrapped it there and then hung it over. So, but these pieces are all tied on.
Wonderful. Would anybody like to share next?
I can go if nobody else wants to go.
Sure.
Hi, everybody. I'm Molly. I'm from the Hoboken Public Library. I can show two things because I actually somehow managed to remember to bring them home. So in December, we did a book ornament, which I'll try and get it close. I bought the ornaments from Michael's. I actually got the idea off of TikTok. It was really popular 2 years ago, I think it was, and I saw it a couple of times this year. But I got the ornaments off of Michael's. They were fairly cheap, actually. We were able to get 20 ornaments, and I took 15 patrons for the event. Yeah, I can show the ornament. So it's just a clear plastic ornament. I took white acrylic paint and put the year. And then I made the books in Canva. So I'll show you that too. I made like these little, this is Verity. I made these little tiny book cutouts in Canva using a format that I found on Book Talk. And then I like cut a couple of strips of cardstock paper to give them some kind of, regular paper was going to be a little too flimsy. So I did some cardstock, and we actually used Mod Podge to hold everything together because regular glue was going to be too tacky. Mod Podge kind of firms up really fast. So we just kind of, did like zigzag folds with these, made like a nice accordion, and then glued that all together, put the book over top, and then shoved them in here. And people really loved it. I had 15 signups, and then ended up having 20 people show up. So it was a good thing I had extra ornaments on hand. I also created like directionals and templates for people. So that way when they were folding, they weren't folding too big or too small. And that seemed to really help. And then the other thing that we just recently started doing in Hoboken is having an embroidery group. So I brought in one of the kits today. We give them some direction. For Black History, we usually do one a month, and it's based on whatever the national month is. So for Black History Month, we actually did a Saturday event for the embroidery group, and they met and listened to an audiobook. So we tried to tie in some literacy to this as well. It was really fun. And that's all I've got.
We have a question from Debbie. Where are your kits from?
We actually make them, all of them. So we order the supplies either through Amazon or WB Mason, wherever we can get like this. I know the Ziploc baggies we get from WB Mason because they come in a certain size that works for the embroidery supplies. But the rest of it's Amazon or like going to the craft stores. I live in the suburbs. Most of my colleagues don't. They all live in Hoboken and there's no craft stores around them. So a lot of the materials we're getting are from Amazon.
And do you give these as like a grab and go, or is it more like in person?
So the ornament was in person, and the embroidery kits, we offer them as grab and goes. We also do that for our knitting club group as well, where it's a grab and go and then a video tutorial.
Oh.
And then, yeah, it's usually one or the other. It kind of just depends. I know for the embroidery group now, it used to be grab and go. Now we're starting to filter it into like, you come and we all do it together. But there's a couple of people that will ask if they could pick the supplies up. So we'll let them do that too. You have your familiars.
And we have a question. Can you tell us the materials you need for the embroidery?
Let me see if I can find it. So you need the embroidery loom, which that's the embroidery loom and the actual canvas itself. It's probably the most expensive material. So it's literally just like a round wooden loom. You can get them in plastic. For your patrons, I would say just get the wooden ones. They're cheaper. And when you do embroidery, you're making it to keep it forever. You know what I mean? You're not really getting rid of it. So then you have the canvas pieces. You get 2 of these because you put them in through the loom on both sides. And there's a lot of really great people on YouTube that have amazing tutorials for this as well. And then the string, it's like if you've ever made like a friendship bracelet when you were a kid out of the string, like the checkers staircases, it's literally that kind of string. It's like a little bit thicker than what you would use to sew on a button. And you can get huge packs of these either on Michael's or Amazon. And then there's like a specific kind of needle that you need that's just a little bit thicker than a regular sewing needle. So let me see if I can. So it's just a little bit bigger than like a regular needle because it has like an extra wide loom piece. And that's really it. It's not hard to put together, which is great. We give them design ideas as well. Have a printout. So like you can actually just hold this behind the canvas and try and sew into the paper. And then once you're done, you rip the paper out and it comes right out. It's pretty easy, actually. It's a lot of fun too. And we usually like allocate about 2 hours for this program as well. So it gives people that do want to start this for the first time, not only the courage to come and feel like they can ask questions, but just, you know, it gives them time to kind of communicate with each other and have a good time.
And going back to your ornament, we have another question in the chat. Where can I find the book cutout template?
I literally just Googled book talk ornament and a bunch of videos popped up. And I think there was like one person that had like a whole Pinterest board where they included their Canva template as well. I could always, if you want, you can take down my email as well and I can send you what I created, because I found that for the ornaments I had, the template was actually a little too big. So it's a little tedious. It was kind of like give and take. I felt like I was wasting so much paper trying to get the right sizing. But once I got the size down, I just copy paste, like sized everything together, and it worked beautifully.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
I'm Debbie from Gloucester County. I'm at home today, so I don't have a sample, but I tried to do things on a minimal budget. So what I did for Thanksgiving was called a gratitude tree. And I brought in from home glass vases that I had collected from flower arrangements. And I also collected twigs from my yard. Then I cut out small leaves from cardstock that were decorative. And I printed out words that were relative to the Thanksgiving theme, like love and family and things of that nature. Then we used to put the twigs in the glass vase. We put some rocks or clear stones at the bottom. So the twigs came out of the vase. Then we took the words that I had printed out, glued them to the leaves, and then punched a hole in the leaves and strung them with some twine onto the branches. And they were centerpieces for everyone's Thanksgiving table. And it was super cheap and easy to do.
That sounds lovely. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Would anyone like to share next?
I can.
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Robyn from Maplewood Library, and we've really just kind of gotten going with adult craft programs last couple of years. So we have this one, see this, where it's rolled paper, so it's paper from a magazine. So we gave them, you know, strips of paper, and then you roll it and you Mod Podge it onto these to-go cups, and it just makes like a little pencil holder or thing holder. And we made these coasters with pom-poms, little mini pom-poms. So they're just glued onto a coaster cork. And then, you know, people could finish. These were, Joanne, these were take and makes? Yeah, these were take and makes for the summer. So, and then this isn't exactly related, but we just did, or are still doing our blind date with a book. And we decided to combine it with a little giveaway. So we did the blind date with the book, and then we gave the first 20 people got hot cocoa mix and a recipe. Oh, and one more. Being showed, we'll show one more. And then we also did this over the summer. The, can you see it? Yeah. The God's Eye. And these came out really well. And these actually, the take and makes were super popular. I don't think we wound up with any extras. No, yeah, they were really, really popular. So we just bagged them in paper bags and people came and picked them up. And
It's really nice. And how many take and makes do you prepare when you do them at a time?
I'm asking my coworker.
Yeah.
How many do we make?
I think 20,
About 20.
but that's based on our population.
Yeah, based on our population.
Nice. And we have a question. How did you make the eye and how did you make the yarn craft?
That's the same one, I think. So the eye, there's directions on YouTube, which I would have to find, but I could share it later. And so we just bought dowels, and you just, you put the dowels like this, and then once you start wrapping the yarn, it holds together. It was really actually a very simple craft that comes out looking really, really nice. But yeah, I'll share a link.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, can I have a question for Robyn? Oh, so for that hot chocolate mix, were you just putting those, is that just in like a small mason jar? I just love that idea of, that is so cute. Okay, I just wanted to take
And
a
then,
look at it
with
again.
our logo on there.
Oh,
so
the
we
logo, that's perfect.
We put some, mini marshmallows and some chocolate chips. This has been really popular. People have really liked this.
I love that idea. So I could see why it's so popular. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
I have to tell you, I saw that on your library's Instagram or Facebook and I bookmarked it. So it was really cool.
I will tell Jenny, who does our social media, she'll be thrilled.
Would anybody like to share next?
Hi, I can go. So we've been doing the tiny art gallery, and last year we did the canvases and it did really well. We got like 80 canvases back that we displayed. But this year I wanted to try something a little different, so I wanted to do sculptures. And to do that, we bought the Crayola Model Magic, and it just you make your sculpture and it air dries for 24 to 48 hours. Then you could color it with Sharpies, or you could paint it with acrylic paint. And so I just made a form for them to fill out and had the directions on the back. And I just taped those to the packet. And we gave out about 80 of these also, but I've only gotten like 20 back. But I'll just show you some of the creative things that we've gotten back. And this is for all ages. So we do, anyone, if the babies want to put their handprint, whatever, we encourage everybody. So it's in honor of I Love to Read Month. So on the form, it asks for the name of your sculpture, the artist name, and a quote from the book, but not the actual book, to encourage people to look for that book or to get them thinking. So this one, probably pretty easy. And the quote is, "You'll float too," right? So, and then we have this one. And the quote from this one is, "Today is Eddie's birthday." That's from the 5 people that you meet in heaven. And so when I display them, I just ran out to get these off the display. I put the easels from last year, instead of the thing on it, I put their little quotes so that it, and that just kind of sits in front of it. And I like this because the whole community can participate, and they could do it as a family. And if they don't have the supplies at home, I tell them take it, make it, and bring it back, and I'll let you use our markers or whatever you want to color it. And just to bring it back, oh, here's one more. This is Holden Caulfield's Red Cap from The Catcher in the Rye. So it could really be anything from the book that stands out to you. So that's all I have to share right now.
That's amazing. How much time do you give them before they're asked to bring it back?
I give them 2 weeks. And last year when we did the canvases, I think I probably gave them 3 weeks, and maybe I should have given them 3 weeks for this too. But I was like, you know, the holidays hit so fast, and then January's over. So it's like, oh, it's not ready yet. I need to do it. So, but yeah.
That's really cool. I've seen a lot about tiny art shows on a lot of the different library programming Facebook pages. Do you have any tips or like best practices that you could share?
Okay, so for the one thing is you want to be really organized. So like when they come back, or I don't know if I have one I could show you, maybe this one. Okay, so when they bring their forms back, I write a number on the back of their form. This was the first one I did. Then I write the number tiny so that if they want it back, I could keep it organized in case the papers get lost. Then I put it like on the Excel sheet, you know, so that I know like they have their little blank card made, you know, and you know, they want it back, they don't want it back, who to contact and stuff like that. But I didn't contact anybody to get them back. I said, you know, if they're not picked up by this day, they're ours. You know, like we could do what we want. And I think that one of my favorite things about it is I used to train people, and I bought these little Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree, and the train people sit perfectly on them so that it looks like there are people viewing the gallery. And I think we might have some pictures on our Facebook of it. And it was really cute. And last year it took all of our windows. I put them in the windows, and our window sills are white. So I took like white cardstock to put in the windows to give it that white gallery look. But in the teen section where they sit, I used the Lego people just to make them laugh as the people viewing the gallery. And it was a hit. I even had people come from other towns because they heard about it, they wanted to see it, and people coming to ask me how I did that. There was like a local church that wanted to do it for like Father's Day. Like it was just really, the people were really into it.
That's amazing. And I know, thinking of summer reading coming up with the theme All Together Now, I feel like that's such a great community project. And I loved how you had like the little people viewing it.
Yeah.
We have a question. If you were able to share a picture of the gallery.
I can share a picture. I think I don't know, like how can I send it here? Like it's on our Facebook. How can I share it? Maybe I could send it in an email.
What's your library again? Maybe we could put your library in the chat.
It's the Roselle Park Veterans Memorial Library.
Does anyone have any other questions or would like to share next?
I can share, but unfortunately I don't have a camera working on my laptop.
That's okay. That's okay.
Anybody who's interested in any of the projects, I'd be certainly happy to send you pictures. That's not a problem. We've done pumpkins from dryer vent ducts. We actually glued them in a circle. We've spray painted them with the craft acrylic paint. Our most popular craft, we've done it twice, is alcohol ink vase painting, which is super cheap. You can get the vases at the dollar store. The paint sets are about $18.99 on Amazon, and all you need is a bottle of isotope rubbing alcohol, 90%, and they come out absolutely beautiful. People love them. It's been both classes I've done of that. We limit to 10 to 12. They've been fully booked each time. So it's really, really pretty. We've done recycled book planters, where we've actually cut holes, stacked the books, cut holes, and used real life plants in them. Mod Podge the paper, filled it with small pebbles and the succulent soil. That was also popular. We've done recycled wine bottle wind chimes. We've done paper quilling, which was a challenge, and I don't know if I would ever do that one again, honestly. People got very frustrated, even though we bought kits that had sticky backed, where they just could not get the concept of folding, and it was a real challenge. I'm trying to think of what else we've done. We've done bracelets, jewelry. We've done gel candles. That was also a very popular one. We've done, every year we usually do Christmas holiday wreaths. Again, that one is super popular. I get the fresh live wreaths from Gasco's in Monroe for like $7. And we've had a lot of donated ribbon and decrements, so they've enjoyed that one. Trying to think what else we've done. We've done scented candles. We bought pillar candles and used cinnamon sticks around them for decorations also. That was a good one. Sorry, I ran out of ideas. But that's, we've had to stay, we're a very small public library, so we usually have about, maximum is 10 people, 10 to 12 people per class. So we've got a good following. We do have a drop off usually in like August and January, but every other month is very steady.
That's wonderful. Patricia, there's a couple of questions for you in the chat. If you could talk a little bit more about the gel candles, as well as your budget and the general cost for the different crafts that you discussed.
Well, this past year, my budget has gotten a big increase, which I was very happy about. In past years, I had to keep it around the $3-4 per person mark, which was very challenging. I did get a lot of ideas from Pinterest. I'm like a Pinterest geek, so most everything comes from Pinterest. Let's see, yeah, last month we did acrylic landscape painting using yarn. So it made a winter birch scene, which was really pretty, and it was very easy to do. That that came in about $1.80 a person, so that was really cheap. The gel candles, I bought the little votive holders from the dollar store, and we got a big bucket of gel candle mix from Amazon. I think that was around $18. And we used a double boiler and just poured it in. We bought little from the dollar store, the holiday sprigs. So we put them inside the gel as it was setting, and we used a small tea light candle in the top of it. So we didn't create another wick. We created one that we could actually remelt and place another tea light candle in, which was, that was very popular too. They enjoyed that one. Vase painting, no, there's a couple. If you do look on YouTube, there is a couple video clips. It's very important with that one is that when you have to clean the vase first with the rubbing alcohol, and that they don't touch where they clean, because the ink does not adhere. And it's basically a drip. You drip the ink onto the outside of the vase, and then you take your paintbrush dipped in the rubbing alcohol and just drop it on top, so the paint will actually swirl and creates a marbled effect, which is really pretty. Sorry, I apologize. I didn't know we were going to have to have samples. Otherwise, I would have and made sure I had a computer that had a camera that worked.
It's okay. No, it's wonderful. And if anyone else wanted to share that doesn't have the camera access, or you want to put it in the chat, that's okay too. We'd love to hear from everyone. So whatever you're comfortable doing with as well. Thank you so much. Did anyone else want to share next? And if you don't have a camera, that's okay too. I guess I'll share if nobody wants to go for now. So I learned about this from the in-person LibraryLinkNJ adult craft share needle felting. I thought it was the coolest thing. I can't remember which librarian came, but she showed a sample. You take a special kind of needle and you have a special pad and you just poke it over and over again. It's really therapeutic. I had found online doing it with cookie cutters. So not only does it help keep the shape, But if you, like me, were a little concerned about the super sharp needle, it keeps your hands away from it. I don't have a cookie cutter with me, but I'd encourage people to bring in all different shapes. I had purchased the needles as well as the finger cozies, the finger protectors. My library already had a bunch of the foam pads, so it was a really cheap craft. And then I got the roving wool on Amazon. You put the wool into the cookie cutter and you just stab it over and over again and it knits it together. So it's really cool. And then I did a 3D one as well for anyone. Where is it? Oh, into anime. This is a soot sprite from Spirited Away. And then I'd also found online something called wet felting. The directions were for ages 3 and up. So even though I do adult crafts, I wanted to have an option for anyone who was very uncomfortable with a needle. Some adults definitely were. So for the wet felting, you put it in a little container with very hot and soapy water. And then we use the end of a paintbrush and you just poke it over and over again. And it's the same effect, just like if you put a wool sweater in the wash and it shrinks it, and you end up with a more smooth outlook together. In terms of best practices, I had a first aid kit with Band-Aids. We did have people who poked themselves, nothing too bad, but they were all glad to see that there were Band-Aids available. This was a little horse one that I did as well. People really enjoyed it. I usually get a regular group of 15 adults and a bunch of them were asking if we can do it again. I also had a second craft, which was coloring for anybody who either didn't want to or wasn't able to physically do the needle, because I have people with all abilities who come to my crafts, and I know one person preferred just to color as well. And speaking of coloring, there was another craft I wanted to show. So for anyone who does adult coloring programs, something you can do with all of those leftover coloring pages, this can be not only for adults, but for kids as well. I Mod Podged into a glass bowl that I got at Dollar Tree, and I Mod Podged onto a pencil. So that's mine.
Wait, Marissa, can you show that horse again? Was that with
Oh,
felt
yeah.
also? I just want to take
Yeah.
a closer look at that.
This one I did do with the needle, but you could do this with the paintbrush as well.
Okay, perfect.
I definitely recommend looking up needle felting and wet felting. It was a lot of fun, and it's definitely something that could be done with all ages. Obviously the needle one more for adults, but would anyone else like to go?
Oh, wait, I see a question in the chat for you, Marissa.
Oh, I
Or
guess
is
my
that
chat's open
for,
here.
I think that's for you. Oh, that might be, oh, for the vases.
For mine, for the coloring pages, this was done with color pencil. So just regular color pencils on the coloring pages, and then I cut them out and I used Mod Podge. For the pencil, I saw in the directions that you could do Mod Podge, but I did just use clear tape on this. You're welcome. We still have a lot of time, so if anyone who hasn't shared yet wants to share, even if you don't have a sample, you want to talk a little bit about what kind of craft programs your library does, or something that's been really popular. If you do grab and go, we'd love to hear from you.
I can share.
Sure, go ahead. Thank you.
We did a button vase. Let's see. There it is. We got little vases on Amazon. They were pretty cheap. Used floral wire. We also got the buttons on Amazon. They have different designs and some are solid. Just got a really big bag and put a few different sizes on the end of a wire and brought the wire back through the other hole and twisted it underneath the buttons. I don't know if this is clear. And then we just twirled the wire around a pencil a couple times just to give it a little interest and help it stand up. And then we put a little moss in the bottom of the vase. And it was pretty inexpensive. And everyone seemed to really enjoy this.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have except I used a salt shaker from the Dollar Tree. And so I put the buttons and the wires in the holes of the from the salt shaker. So I haven't done this class yet. Was just my sample, but it's just very similar to what you just showed.
Hey, Marge, I love the idea of using a salt shaker. That's so creative.
We have something in the chat from, let me pull it up. From Teresa. She doesn't have a micro camera, but she wants to share that they did a birdseed ornament at Centralia Regional Library District in Illinois that were quite popular. They used birdseed without fillers like Milo, wheat, oats, or rice, and gave everyone a little snack baggie full of seed along with a packet of unflavored gelatin and a bit of juice. Oh, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
My name.
Go ahead, yeah.
My name is Penina. I'm from Cliffside Park Public Library. Although mostly I deal with toddlers from age 3 to 5. And this is what I do with them. I just wanted to share what I do with them. I cut them and give them to the children to fix them. I do that every week. I cut them and then they put them together. This is what we have done. And that is all I can show. If there's anybody who wants to know more, you can just get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw the Pete the Cat in there, one of my favorite books. Very cute ideas. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And how many children do you normally get at your craft programs?
I didn't hear.
Like anywhere from a few kids.
Yeah.
To 20,
from
25.
Okay, we do from age 3 to 5 years, and sometimes we get like 35 children every day, every Thursday. Yeah.
Nice. That's a good number.
Thank you.
We have a question from Molly. Has anyone done anything with gardening? Thinking about doing a take and make herb garden for adults this spring. What a great idea.
Hi, I'm Allison from Pennsauken. We didn't do anything with gardening, but last year we did have a flower arranging workshop. So that was really nice. And we had a woman who was, I think she lives near Princeton. Her name is Sylvia Way, and she does Ikebana. And she came and showed us a little slideshow and then led the workshop. But I think, you know, it's something, if it's not specific to that style of flower arranging, you could do it without inviting a presenter in. And that was really popular. We did it in May.
Very cool. Thank you. Has anyone else done any gardening related type programs?
It's not really a program, but we have like a seed catalog where we share, you can give and you can take. And we actually we have like an old actual catalog, you know, with the little drawers and everything that we use for it.
That's wonderful. Cranford Library has one too. Our children's librarian, Lauren, runs it. And the focus for ours is on native seeds. So I think seed libraries are really cool. We have a question. Can anyone talk about scheduling for in-person crafts? Do you do your programs once a week, once a month? Is it always the same day and time? Do you get different audiences? Would anyone like to share a little bit about how their program runs or multiple programs? Alyssa says she does it once a month on the same day and time, and she has a very loyal group of crafters. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
Okay, good morning. So we have several librarians here, and we each work on a maker program every month. We try to do it in the afternoons because we get the most of individuals. The only thing is our maker space is very limited in space. So our maximum is 6 to 8 individuals to use the maker space. And what I do is I teach sewing or do sewing craft projects, very simple stuff like tote bags and hand baskets and things that are easy within an hour to an hour and a half. Really an hour and a half to 2 hours, because I've tried an hour and it's just too short a time period. But we do that maybe not once a week because there's 3 of us. So about 3 times a month, an hour and a half long to 2 hours.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In the chat, we have some that are Thursday nights at 6:30. We have second Saturday at 11. So a lot of different ones. I know at Cranford, the one I run on the second Tuesday, we have also a really loyal group. It originally started as 7 to 8. The group that I have is a lot of moms. So going home at 8 o'clock in the middle of bedtime is hard. So they stay till 9. And on this Tuesday, I basically kicked them out. But it's and when we close, but it's been so nice. I don't know if anyone else wanted to have the same experience, but seeing people come together and really chat. I know my group really likes things that are easy, that they can kind of just chat and relax and do while also learning new skills, and just seeing people who come by themselves now have their own group of friends that they're excited to see. I had one adult say it's the thing that she looks forward to every single month, is seeing these same people. So I don't know if anyone else has a similar experience. We also have a question in the chat. Does anyone accommodate and offer children's craft as well? Molly says she has an adult craft, but sometimes children show up with their parents.
I'm curious if most libraries are requiring registration for crafts, and because sometimes we have an issue where people do register and don't show up, and so it's hard, or people show up without registering, so it's hard to know how much to purchase as far as supplies go. So I'm curious what kind of registration process other libraries are using.
So we have to require registration just because of the spacing consideration and the equipment. We have 6 sewing machines. So I usually, the max is 8 people. So anything after 8, it would be a waiting list of no more than 2. And I do have a following with the craft programs.
In Monroe, we now require registration for all of our programs since the pandemic. And I think it was a little difficult to get people to get on board with that. We used to have a lot of walk-in traffic, but to be more organized and prepared with supplies and spacing, like you said, we're now requiring advanced registration for almost anything, but we make it easy. You can do it, and obviously online, over the phone, through the app, whatever. I had a question quickly. For those of you that do your monthly crafts and have a following, does your group know in advance what the craft is, or is it a surprise, or do they just show up and are just happy to be doing anything? Or do you find that there are certain crafts people like more than others? Because if you're providing it once a month, you know, you have to really kind of be creative and come up with different things. So I was just wondering if there's some kind of crafts that people don't show up for at all, or in your experience.
In the chat, Alyssa said no when they don't care. That's kind of what my experience is with my group. I don't always know ahead. I like to ask them to what they want to do and try to get some ideas that way. And then there was also a question, do you limit it to town residents only? And feel free to put your answers in the chat. If you don't want to unmute, that's okay too.
So we advertise our craft programs a month in advance through the website, but we don't open the sign up option until 2 weeks before the program to allow for, because it will book immediately, like as soon as they see it on the website or through social media that we have. So we pretty much 2 weeks ahead, that's when we open signups and they either call. We also have a poster that we you know, several posters that we put out on near reference. And so, because it does get booked right away. We don't send it in advance, just a month in advance is what we give for any crafting through the poster, and then 2 weeks before, that's when they can register.
Does anyone have anything else they want to add about how their programs work, or registration or sign up?
Well, I like Susan's question in the chat, if anyone does take and makes for adults. I see some people responding and saying that theirs are very popular. So if anyone has experience with those as well, feel free to share.
So the take and makes that I do, and as well as my colleagues in reference, are all adult take and makes. But the children's department and the teen department, they have their own set of crafting programs for each group.
When I did the take and make during the pandemic, and I would have the kids to go, but then I would film myself making the craft and then post it on the library's Facebook page. But I've stopped doing that since we've returned to, you know, in-person programming. Although I think that they probably would like that to continue, but I haven't continued it since we've returned to in-person.
Does anyone have any, before we wrap up, things that they want to add, anything else that they want to share, anything that they're excited about coming up for the spring or the summer?
So we are excited at Ocean County Library with NJ Maker Day coming up in March. And we have 2 crafts in the adults ready for, or getting ready for. So that's what we're excited about. Also for the summer, we're already trying to figure out like what would be good summer crafting ideas. I'm thinking jewelry, making jewelry.
We have a question. Does anyone do anything for Library Week? Is anyone planning any events or crafts?
In Monroe, we're doing Library Lovers Month, and we're doing a social media campaign. No programming though, but just the 28 days of February, you know, why we love our library. It's fun.
That's a great idea. I love that. I'll definitely have to make sure I follow your library.
Yeah, just all the services and resources, just kind of highlighting some of the special things about our space.
That's wonderful. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to add? This was so wonderful. I know I feel inspired with everyone's ideas. I hope everyone is feeling refreshed. And I know sometimes programming can be a lot. So it's really nice to get a chance to share with colleagues and just best practices and get ideas. And I think Stephanie's going to send out the recording, and we can always connect through email or follow our libraries on social media to get more ideas. Stephanie, did you have anything else you wanted to add to close out?
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. There's just so many great ideas. Faith, I loved all the pictures you shared in the chat. Like the Lego pieces on like the Jenga blocks is like one of my favorite ideas. So I am really excited. To answer Rachel's question, we are having in April a specific skill sharing with just gardening projects. So I am super excited. So if you have any gardening ideas or crafts, feel free to come and share. I can share the link afterwards with everyone as well with the recording. So yeah, and then thank you all for being here. It's been wonderful. Marissa, you were a great moderator too.
Thank you so much. And thank you to LibraryLinkNJ for always putting on these fantastic programs for us to get together and talk.